like in this room with all damp and everything, like, so I was like, oh, it was just me and him, so I got on the back and had a little ride, like. Yeah. That's the only dragon I've ever ridden.
For our, any other dragon riders? Any other experiences of riding dragons? Gosh, I'd love to do it. It seems like a lot of
It's kind of weird. Like, okay, so I'm gonna paint you a picture. We worked on a volume stage, which is basically the size of this whole hall. And it's all LED screens, and you're propped up on what looks to be a mechanical bull that you might ride at like a bar or a pub. And they harness you in, and then you're just lifted like 6 feet off the ground, and there's just like 4 guys with leaf blowers, and you've just got to like do it. I mean, it's strange. Yeah.
But it also feels weirdly alive. I don't know how.
I know, that's what's weird about it.
Because it makes these noises, so it goes when it's moving. And it's moving, and you're and it's weird, isn't it? It feels like it's a live thing. Does that just me?
No, I agree.
You also have to act opposite these dragons, like a man holding a tennis ball on a stick, and then like another dude blowing, and then like the director will be like, okay, so now you're getting attacked by the dragon, and you have to like scream at this tennis ball, and it's really hard to keep a straight face when you're doing that. But I did, I promise.
You did a good job.
Brian, I'm sorry to ask you this again, but I think it's such an incredible story, and one I think probably many people in this room have imagined, is how your relationship with George started.
I refer to it as a bit of light fan stalking. My very first television pilot was a supernatural western that NBC had picked up to go shoot, and we selected by chance the filming location of Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I said, well, I don't know anything about Santa Fe, New Mexico, but I know one person who lives there. And I was going to be there for many months, and I said to my agents, knowing that they also represented George, hey, can I buy him dinner while I'm out there and just talk to him and pick his brain? And this was 9 years ago. And I don't know why, but George said yes, and let me buy him dinner and sweat profusely in front of him. And we just, I talked a lot about his books and how much I was influenced by him as a writer. And I just really wanted to just get to know him and pick his brain a bit. And then he came and visited set and hung out on our Western. And everybody kept asking me, do you know George R. R. Martin? And I said, I guess I do now. And we stayed in touch. And he came to LA fairly often to win Emmys. So he would always look me up in September when he was in town. And one day he called me, and I came out to have a beer with him, and he offered me a job. And here we are 4 years later. And it's mental. It's crazy.
Wow.
Brian may have been picking my brain when I visited the set, but I was stealing his cast. We did 2 of the people on that busted pilot were later hired by Game of Thrones.
That's right. The great Pedro Pascal was a Pinkerton detective, in kind of bumbling Pinkerton detective in our pilot, and also the great Michaela Huisman was the star of the show. Played Drake Sinclair, the rogue gunman,
and later went on to be our second Dario Naharis.
That's right. Infuriatingly handsome.
We're about a month out now, and here we are at Comic-Con, Hall H. Candidly, I'm freaking out. How is everybody feeling? How is everybody feeling right now? Knowing that the show is booming.
Ew. It's weird, isn't it?
isn't it? It's like, there's this behemoth that we're following in its footsteps, and there's a massive pressure that we feel, to give you guys what you want, but also make it different, and to also put our own stamp on it. And we're so grateful for what came before, which was so amazing, and we just hope that this has the same legacy, because God, we worked our bums off for a year, and these guys worked for longer, and yeah, man, I just hope you like it.
Steve, I asked you this yesterday. I have to ask you. As a fan of color, as an Asian fan, it's delightful to see you here. What is it like to be here? It feels great to see you in this role.
It does feel great because other than, as we spoke about yesterday, other than certain people's viewpoints about someone who looks like me playing this part, it hasn't really played a part in the role, in my experience on the job with my fellow actors. As I said, there are people outside who find it a little hard to stomach that someone who looks like me would play this part, but that's an issue they have to deal with. I don't have to. It's always the same. I just have to say the lines convincingly and avoid bumping into the furniture. So.
Any other thoughts? Any other stray thoughts bumping around in anyone's head?
I get arrested, mate.
Of this one.
Patty, Steve told me you can box.
I can't box. No, don't start that one.
But you know how to throw a punch properly.
Well, yeah, possibly, yeah. I've been taught how to throw a punch properly. That doesn't make me a boxer at all.
Are you challenging him?
I mean, no, definitely not. 100%. I think I could take The Rock, who is back there.
Yeah, I'll give him a good idea.
Yeah.
Old school style. On the cobbles.
If you
Like
had,
the Gypsy King himself.
if you had to fight one Sir Kristen Cole or 100 baby dragons, everyone here, which would you choose?
I'd beat the shit out of all of them.
Is it time for fan questions yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I would add for our fans who are going to ask questions, this is a big shot. Don't throw it away. If you've read the books, don't ask a question like, hey, when so-and-so meets so-and-so, is so-and-so going to happen? If you haven't read them, don't ask what's going to happen. This is a great opportunity for the peeps. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Luke. Matt, guess what? It's orbit time. All right.
It's what?
You starred in a movie recently called Morbius, which is great.
Oh yeah.
All right. I gotta get to my question. My question for you is, how would your character in Morbius fit well into the Game of Thrones universe?
Well, I mean, he's a vampire, so I think he'd struggle first off. I don't know really, how would he fit well into the Game of Thrones universe? That's a very good question. I think he would be a fish out of water, in truth. I don't think he's got the chops to do it. But I'm glad you watched a completely different movie.
What about the doctor?
Oh, the doctor would be alright, mate, yeah. He'd land on his feet.
Next, your name?
My name is Tori, and my question is for you.
Is that Rainey's?
It is.
Oh my God, you look amazing.
That's amazing.
You look so much better than I do.
You definitely look much
Oh
better.
my God.
The hair's even better, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that the wedding? You come as the wedding?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
That's incredible.
So you come from a theater background where you've played many famous characters from text. What drew you to Rainey's, and how does it feel to be joining a universe with such another famous character from text?
I'm so sorry, can I just ask you to ask me that a little bit slower? Because I didn't quite hear.
Of course. So you come from a theater background where you've played many famous characters from text.
Yeah.
What drew you to playing Rainey's, and how does it feel to be joining another universe with such a famous character from text?
Oh gosh. Well, it was an amazing, it is an amazing thing, an amazing creature that I didn't know anything about the Game of Thrones before I joined the show, but I hadn't seen it, but I knew that it was this amazing deal. And I was very, very intrigued to learn more about it. And when I met Ryan and Miguel, they were really cool. And I thought what they had written was very cool. We didn't have any information in the script that we were sent. All the names were changed, and they told us, "Oh, this isn't the real script." And the whole thing was really mysterious. So I didn't really know exactly what it was, this thing. But my agent just kept saying, "It's a really amazing, extraordinary world, this extraordinary show," and it was wonderful writing, and they were really amazing people, and I thought, gosh, I'd like to be part of this. And I'm really happy that I am.
Next, your name?
Hello, my name is Stefana, and my question is for Matt Smith.
Hi, Stefano.
Hi. So nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
So, I grew up seeing you as a good guy, as the 11th Doctor. How does it feel to take on? Yes. How does it feel to take on more sinister roles, like in Last Night in Soho and now this?
Well, I think it's just quite good to sort of have rest as an actor, and you sort of try and challenge yourself and find different avenues to play, really. And once I sort of played the Doctor, I was quite actively looking to sort of do something that felt completely different. So yeah, it was really nice to meet you. Have a great Comic-Con.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ron, and my question is for Mr. George R. Martin. Will we see you in a cameo?
I don't know. I mean, for the last couple of years since COVID hit, I've hardly left my house. I've been, trying to stay away from COVID, and also, you may not know, but there's this book that I'm writing. It's a little late. or doing anything until I finish and deliver that book, and then if the show's still going, who knows? Maybe I'll show up. I did do a cameo in the original pilot of Game of Thrones, but they reshot most of the pilot, so I was left on the cutting room floor. And I was supposed to be, at a certain point, I was supposed to be a severed head. That scene where Joffrey makes Sansa look at all the severed heads on the wall, I was going to be one of them, but then they found out how expensive it was to make a severed head, and they just bought a box of used severed heads. One of whom was George W. Bush, which got us in a lot of trouble. And I don't think he's there any longer, but if you get one of the old DVDs, you can see that. I know, who knows, maybe I can yet become a severed head at some point.
George, I know a guy. I think I can get him the show. Come on, Ryan. You're welcome anytime.
George, thanks so much for leaving your home to be with us here today. Yes.
Mine as well. My question goes to George R. R. Martin. What was the most difficult piece of, say, this story that was hard to adapt onto this show that you feel comfortable discussing?
Well, it is a very hard story to adapt because it's very long and it's very complicated and there are many, many characters in it. And so, you know, Ryan had quite a challenge there in adapting it. I don't know, what was the hardest part to adapt?
I mean, that's a great question. It's a really interesting challenge because it is not a traditional novel. It's not written in prose. It's a history book, as George calls it, a fake history. And so there's a lot of signposts in it that there aren't necessary. There's some dialogue, but then other things, it's just, oh, this happened on this day, and then there was a war, or there was a fight. So the trick is, I think, painting in the lines that you have point A and point C, but you don't really know what point B was. And that's the fun of the invention of the show. But to me, the most challenging thing is just the sheer amount of time that the story covers, because it's the story of a generational war. So it was figuring out how to structure it in such a way that we could move people through this very complex timeline in a very simple way so that people didn't get lost. And I think we've done a pretty good job. But that was certainly a brain bender for the writers and I. And thank you, Sarah Hess, who's somewhere in the audience, for saving our bacon on that.
The challenge with anything as big as Fire and Blood or the Game of Thrones and its sequels before that is there's always this tendency to simplify. Oh, there are too many characters. And when Game of Thrones first came out, some of the reviews were people who were professional television reviewers. So many characters, I couldn't keep track of them, you know. But people did learn to keep track of them. I don't want to underestimate the intelligence of the audience or the readers. You can keep track of them. You don't have to combine characters and eliminate characters. The audience is more sophisticated than sometimes people making television assume, and that's one of the great things about working for HBO is they're willing to tackle things that are a little more challenging than you would get at the over-the-air networks or some other things.
Hi.
Hey. My name is Raphael. Pleasure to be with you all. My question is, what realms in Westeros that we're just a little bit familiar with from the previous work are we really going to get to dive in and get to know?
Oh, realms.
Yeah, realms, geographies. Oh, and one quick comment.
Oh no.
He was going to tell us that we were great. Driftmark, yeah, Drifted. I mean, there's a lot of King's Landing, there's a lot of Dragonstone in the show. There's a lot of other places too that we have visited before and haven't seen yet. But I think Driftmark, which is the home of House Velaryon, the great sea snake, and his family, is a new world that we explore quite a bit.
Yes, I see the Boreal Dragon, Valerian the Black Dread, waiting to ask a question.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was so wonderful. It was great.
Hey, I'm Sari. My question is for anybody who wants to answer. So the sigil of the House Targaryen is a dragon. If you yourselves had house, what animal or symbol would you pick for it?
My symbol is the turtle, that's why I wear one on my hat.
Slow and steady.
A Wolverine.
Yeah.
Badger or something.
Some lions. I reckon like a fox.
Yeah, you're a fox.
Yeah, thank you.
I said turtle, but I kind of take it back now.
I had a lot of fun writing the books with the heraldry. I get carried away with the heraldry for the houses. I read about, when I was starting, a lot about actual medieval heraldry and all that, which is fascinating, but also kind of boring, because it's like the 75% of the people have lions and the others all have eagles, and where are the badgers and the lumps of coal? Christian Hall has, I think you have 9 lumps of coal on your shield, right?
Yes.
Yes, not really as exciting as a Wolverine, but still.
I'll take it.
What about an axolotl?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Nico Holt. Will we get a chance to see the house history of Targaryens through these series for the show?
I mean, that's what the show's about. So I have good news for you.
The thing about history, of course, is it's just one damn thing after another, as someone said.
That's right.
So we're showing the history of House Targaryen at a certain point in time, but you can go before that. Fire and Blood actually begins with Aegon's conquest, so there are like 4 previous generations. And Aegon wasn't born from sea foam. He also had a father and a mother and a grandfather, and they're all the lords of Targaryens that go back to when they escaped the Doom of Valyria, but you can go back further and what were they up to in the Doom of Valyria, and who knows, maybe if I can only live to be 140 instead of 73, maybe I'll write some of those other stories about the Valyrians in the past. But there's a lot of history.
Thank you so much, Hall H. I'm sorry we don't have more time for questions. I'm sorry.
Let him go.
Let him ask his question.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Get in.
Hello, guys, all the guys, British County. They'll let me know. Quick question.
The name, man.
Sorry, because I can't answer the original one. You've learned from, I'm guessing you've learned from the mistakes of the series. Have you banned coffee cups from the set?
No.
They're everywhere.
Hall H, thank you so much. Everyone here can't wait to watch the series August 21st. Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
I tried. I tried.